Hello and welcome to another video by Phoenix Counseling. My name is Justin Kennard, registered mental health counselor intern here at Phoenix Counseling. I'm doing a series of videos. You might have seen the codependent basics video on our channel. This one is, these next couple are going to sort of follow suit. They're not necessarily all paired together, but they can certainly work together. This next video is called Control the Crippler. So this video is going to be on control and how that may manifest in your lives, where it could have came from, and then a brief overview of the process in which that can be healed and tended to and changed. Want everybody to know the purpose of these videos for me is to keep it in about the 10-minute range. Do got my notes to keep my butt in line as far as not going off on too many rabbit trails. But the point of these videos is to give you some brief, what I call meat and potatoes, but the point really is for you to have what I call popcorn thinking. That this video causes you to think, create new insights, new thoughts, and new things to bring your counselor. If you're in counseling, or further insights, maybe you're in coaching or being mentored. So this is by no means an all-inclusive, exhaustive video on control, or we'd be here for 14 days straight, and we'd all be long bored and asleep and moved on by then. So again, it's going to be roughly 10 minutes, brief overview, and then just really trying to get you to think how control may be manifesting in your life. So control behaviors can manifest everywhere. It can show out in maybe how you view money, how you interact in relationships. If you have any type of sensitivities to, let's say, sound, you may try and control others so they don't make said sound, like a lot of people. And to myself, I can get sensitive ears when I'm triggered. I don't like hearing certain kind of noises, so I'll at times have to challenge myself not to want to control others or situations to not hear that. Even your hobbies, okay? I like gardening and tending to my fruit trees. Well, when I have an idea in my head of where this plant should be in its growth point and when it maybe should be flowering or fruiting or whatevering, I start trying to nudge that thing along with maybe some extra fertilizer. Maybe I'm watching an extra video on YouTube, be like, what the heck is wrong? What am I doing wrong? When in reality, that's just the fruit tree or the plant's rhythm. But I'm trying to control an outcome from what I think it should be. Let me see what else. Travel. How are you when you travel? Do you get kind of ratcheted down and maybe you only want to stay in the hotel or the resort? Or, when you're out and about, do you feel kind of constricted and you just want to know every detail of what's going on? How are you when you travel? How are you when you get to the airport, the bus or the tube or the any other way you can travel, get around the train? Control can create a real rough inner world because it tends to create an angry inner world, because in order to control, a lot of us find ways to control others through either manipulation and anger. And when we're angry, we tend to be angry at ourselves, and we tend to want to project that out, and it does create this inner world that's very tumultuous and intense, especially when we feel out of control, or that the certain things that we wanted to be a certain way are not that way. Excuse me. Now, a couple places that these, I call them control structures, how they got there in our brains to begin with. They can come from a few places. I know, I'm a counselor, so we're going to go back to childhood. Some of you are rolling your eyes. I get it. But they can come from a few places. Namely, trauma. And it could be any kind of trauma, whether it's sexual trauma, physical abuse trauma, different types of abandonment, you name it. Even just, like PTSD events, like a bombing or a shooting or a major brutal event of some kind. Because in those scenarios, in trauma, most of the time, we have no control. If there's a sexual assault or there's a physical abuse, especially when you're young, there's no control. If I'm an 8-year-old boy and my dad decides to beat me, I don't have much control of the situation when I weigh, whatever a little boy would weigh versus my dad being a full-grown man. I have no control. So what the brain is going to want to do to help survive and move on through life is find ways to control people and situations to never be put in that spot again. So that's how trauma can influence how we kind of control and why we want to control. Another way, and again, this isn't some exhaustive list. I'm giving you two things here. But the second one can be through observation, right? So let's say maybe your parents aren't abusive and these things aren't transpiring in your house growing up. But you observe your family maybe struggling financially. And you're observing this and you're like, and you see the stress that finance causes, where maybe your parents are arguing, it's Friday and the mortgage is due, or the light bill's due, or the, whatever bill, cell phone and cable and whatever's, insurance. And you observe this and you go, I never want to have to deal with that kind of stress and pain ever again. So now money becomes this structure of control that you're like, I will do what I need to do at all times, whether that's working 2, 3, 10, 4 jobs, 80 hours a week to make sure there's always money in the account so that I never have to experience that. And that's another way, and that's just through observation and obviously one example of how you in your younger years could have developed these structures of assembling control in your life. Now, some people are like, you just got to let go and let live. Let go and let God, whatever the saying. Well, when you have grown up in a traumatic environment or any kind of rough way that required you to generate control, the idea of letting it go is going to cause all kinds of red lights, sirens, and red alarms going off in your survival mechanism. Why? Because remember, control was set up to help you survive. If my dad was to beat me because I don't know, let's think on the fly here. I didn't mow the lawn at the right time and I was supposed to. Well, you better believe I'm going to be watching that grass like a hawk to avoid the beating and that I got. And so the control is there for survival. So to just let it go out the blue is going to send you off into a tizzy because it's going to throw all your warning bells off. Out of control is going to feel horribly threatening. Terribly threatening to your survival. So we like to avoid this whole all or nothing approach and take it step by step. How does that happen? Good question. Let's check my notes here, check my time. Actually doing pretty good. Well, control, before I go there, control, another problem with it or struggle with it, and why I call it the crippler. Control is absolutely, positively stifling to your growth, to relationships. It kills dreams. It puts people in a box. Anybody who knows me knows I cannot stand being put in a box. I think that's what happens to a lot of us, though, when we've been put in rough situations, we've been through traumas, we've been through a lot of challenges. Control just slowly chips away and erodes. We take the safe road. Always take the most calculated and safe road. Going back to that money example I gave, where maybe you observe mom and dad fighting all the time over money and shortages and paying bills and XYZ. Well, you're likely not going to take many risks when it comes to maybe starting your own business. Maybe there comes a point where you're, 35, 40 years old, and maybe they're older or younger, and you start going, man, this career I'm in is not what I want, but I'm making good money and I don't want to risk starting over. And now that puts you in a bind because you're like, don't know if I could do another 15, 20 years of this, but I'm too afraid to let go and try this. So control is very stifling and crippling to our growth and our calling in our life. I know I was jumping the gun a little bit a minute ago, but this is changeable. You can tend to this, you can heal it, you can change it, it can be adjusted. How? Good question again. Developing safety, connection, your attachment, and healthy attachment. Because a lot of times we did not get those healthy connections and safety from, let's say, our parents or different growings up, whoever might have raised you. And so creating a safer environment where it allows for risk. One of the biggest and awesomest benefits of healthy relationships is they allow you to risk. Healthy risk. Maybe because you know you've got an awesome support circle around you, friends and family that you've chosen, maybe you're married or whatever the situation. You're like, you know what, I am going to take that risk. I am going to start that business. I am going to start that baking business that I always wanted to do. And if it flops, I got people who got my back. And I've got people who will support me, people who will love on me. Even when it's hard or I'm doing awesome or whatever, it's all good. Healthy relationships allow you to risk. Healthy relationships create safety. Safety allows to let go of trust. Oh boy. Don't. Can't edit that, but safety allows you to trust and not need so much control. So this is changeable. I'll give you one example. I'm going to head out. I'm already over 12 minutes, whatever. I want you to think about this idea of if you had a healthy dad, and if you're spiritual, you think of your heavenly father. And let's just say this dad said, hey, jump in the SUV. We're going to head out to, grab some ice cream. Well, sometimes if we've been through a life of control, we're going, well, hold on. What ice cream parlor are we going to? Or are we allowed to get sprinkles? Are you taking the highways and the toll roads? Or are we doing the back roads? Are you going to just do this? How are you going to be driving? Are we going to be talking? Are we listening to music? What kind of music? Whoa. Time out. This is about trust. Healthy relationship. Can I just trust this dad figure to take me to the ice cream? And if the route deviates and we end up somewhere else, to trust, hey, we're probably going to end up somewhere even cooler. Maybe there'll be pizza and ice cream. I'm probably hungry, hence all the food references in this video. Well, hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that creates some, what I call, again, the popcorn moments in this video. Again, just thinking, what are some of the control-seeking behaviors? What might they look like? Where did they come from? Those control structures, I call them. Where did they come from? What does letting go of control usually trigger in us and create? Why can that be just hard to just let go and let God, or let go and let live? How does control stifle our life? And finally, this is changeable. You're not stuck with this. Okay? So, we'll look forward to catching you on the next video. Bye for now.